Testing, testing. Hello, everyone. Let's wait for a few minutes and for more people to come, and then I can talk a little bit about my what I have done last week. Holiday last week. Yes, I was traveling last week in Malaysia, and it was very fun. Uh, and spent a good time there. I really tried not to trade last week and stop looking at the market, but I failed to do so, and yeah, I closed my longs and I opened some shorts last week. Not sure whether it's the correct decision or not. But I really want a holiday and uh, that I can completely step away from the market, but is so difficult. Yeah, I think it's also very important to let yourself to take a break or get some rest uh, instead of churning yourself out and keep pushing and pushing. So I can maybe let's talk about the longs. I closed hood on Tuesday. Uh, I kind of sell it into the strength, like the close below the 9 EMA on the 60-minute charts. And the main reason behind is actually uh, one is the crypto. I don't really like the Tuesday action after the Monday getting a undercutting reclaim and a strong action on Monday, but the Tuesday not much follow through, and on the weekly looks pretty weak. Bitcoin and Ethereum and all of that as well, and also like hood is also approaching the previous the overhead resistance, so it's around like 120 area. And also I think one of another important reason is also the declining market breadth. Although the software sector is the strongest one recently, one of the strongest one, if you also consider the healthcare or the maybe the financials or the biotechs. But I'm not a fan of like the declining breadth, and the individual stock sections are not really that encouraging. And I can talk a little bit more on that later. And crowd, Fortinet and Net, I sold them all on the on Friday, after crowd closed below the 9 EMA. I I actually didn't wait for the close. I'm just close. I closed it on the first 60-minute candle, I believe. And yes, I don't know. Maybe I'm selling them too early, but yeah, for selling, I'm pretty lenient and pretty uh don't have any. I don't have a fixed rule or like a set of checklist for selling. Yeah, quantum shorts. Yes. Um, I also sell them into strengths. IONQ. I actually sold them on Tuesday. I covered them on Tuesday after they gap down and follow through into the downside. I think it's also the weekly 50 EMA, so it's around 45-ish IONQ. Yeah, 45-ish. Also near the low of the previous uptrend, and now it is continuing lower. And but yeah, for shorts, I tend to cover them in weakness and booking profits into weakness instead of holding them for a longer move. But yeah, this is my current approach. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I need to like study a little bit more on shorting to like cover to capture the like a bigger trend like this. But right now my approach is just selling into strength and then not waiting and not holding for a longer move. And also the quantum short, the success on the quantum short, and also helps me um to analyze the market condition a little bit more. I always like love to uh use my trade feedbacks as a pretty important signal for the market environment, or like you can say the situational awareness. My shorts are doing quite well, and the longs that have closed is also getting weak. So like Nepius and a lot of the semi names. So I believe it's a really important signs of potentially maybe a change of character or a start of a downtrend, or maybe we can get a like a chop fest in the beginning of the year. And it's a little bit tricky because the Qs is showing some strength, gapping up and hold above the 9 and 21 EMA. And since Wednesday, it found support on the 50 EMA. But yeah, sometimes I would like I would consider the individual stock sections more like I would consider them more important, or more yeah, I think more important for my decision making. And I think the past few days are a little bit tricky in some sense, because we are still kind of in the middle of the range and still chopping around, not showing any like direction just yet. But when I'm going through my watch list, I like trying to look at the individual names that a lot of them are cracking down, losing the 50 EMA, a lot of them, and some even like loses the 150 EMA. So I'm not a fan of that. Um, and that actually like shifted my feel a little bit. Palantir actually, yeah, I think last week on Tuesday is a really good entry on the shorts, but I missed that mainly because I was traveling, so definitely can trade much better if I'm on the screen. But yeah, it's a trade-off. Yeah, I think it's okay to sacrifice some profits or some trades for the rest. I would like to see a bounce here. I don't want it straight down. Reversal. I would like to short light, but I failed to capture the entry on the 1 minute breakdown, 1 minute reversal. Right now, it's at the like the 15-minute 50 EMA, 60-minute 50 EMA. Not a fan of shorting into the support, potential support. Hopefully there's a bounce later in the day. I think this could be a really good risk reward shot if it's starting to roll over and start the stage 4 downtrend potentially. I would really wanted to wait for the bounce into the 5-minute 9 EMA and the angel fill up level, but I think maybe there won't be the chance for this type of a bounce. And yeah, if it stops me out and continues rally into the declining 9, definitely I would trying to re-enter again if light fades from the 785 level. But sometimes, yeah, I think sometimes you should, the perfect entry may never appear, and let's see how it works. Yeah, but I think the daily and the weekly weekly is okay, but the daily is just not looking good at all. It's like building a round top, like it's actually looking a pretty textbook round top. I think something like this. I mean, it looks pretty identical. Yeah, but I think the pattern isn't the reason that I'm shorting the stock. Yeah, I never traded the rounding top pattern. Yeah, I think mainly one is the theme, like the sector, the whole semi sector is getting weak, and light is one of the weaker name, so it actually tops on mid May, and then it's going sideways or like it drifting down a little bit, building the lower highs. Compared to the general sector is still making the higher highs and higher lows. This one is getting a little bit lagging and losing the EMAs, and then all the EMAs are trending down. And we got to bounce into the like the 21 EMA, but not really reach to 21, but the previous swing lows level. And also, it's also like a sympathy play on the Qs, that the Qs is also opening below all the EMAs and then now it's fading. So I think that, yeah, it's not about the pattern actually, but it just looks really identical to the textbook rounding top pattern. Dell, it is breaking lower. Now it's losing the 9 EMA. And this is not, this is really dangerous, in my opinion. So I think Dell gets has have a breakout on Wednesday. I actually traded this after the first 15 minutes, 30 minutes. Oh, it's the first 60-minute fade, and then breaking out well on this range, a tiny little range on the 15 minutes chart, and then yeah, I actually long this thing on Wednesday, and then I just sold it on Thursday. So it's a really quick swing, and if Dell fails to like reclaim the 9 EMA, and then I think it could be really dangerous because a lot of the buyers are buying it off the left side, could be like just stopped out, and this could be the failed maybe a VCP or like a failed VCP, a failed breakout, trying to take out the previous highs and then found resistance and drift lower after a strong rally. Could be really dangerous. And we'll see. We'll see. The lap is super weak. It simply goes, yeah, it goes straight down after the open. Yeah, and also like this MXL, it has a really strong breakout on the late June. Yeah, really good breakout, and with volume and pretty decent follow through. 2 days follow through, and then we got a huge red candle 2 days later, losing both the 9 and 21. And this is I think it could, the odds of starting a new uptrend from this type of reversal, also after this a huge rally and this reversal, I think it really takes time for to build another uptrend, to start another uptrend. I think probability wise, it's not favored, and most of the time is it could be like a starting and downtrend. But we may need some time for for this to like chop around and then letting the 9 and 21 comes down a little bit more, and also like to consume the buying power of the 50 EMA. I think there are definitely some people are buying at the 50 EMA, so it could be we maybe need a little bit of chop, and I think it highly depends on the market, whether the market is doing well or not. Do you think AMD is a good entry today? Um, Pull back 21 EMA. Yeah, I think it is. Like technically, also at the unfilled gap, and 21 EMA is the leader of the semi sector. Although I'm quite bearish on the semis, but it definitely is still like above the 50 EMA and the weekly 9, as at the weekly 9. And if you are bullish on the semis and you think it could be only a pullback, a short-term pullback, and then finding support at the 50 EMA, AMD is the play, I think. But to me, I'm really not a fan of going long right now because of the poor breadth, and also like the weekly extension of the semi sector as a whole. Like it's starting to, if you look at the weekly, it is getting accelerated, and it is the chart is on log scale, so it's already like it's less exaggerated. If you look at the regular chart, it is much more like the move is much more explosive and extended on the upside, with the volume pouring in. And yeah, I don't know. But if AMD is like if the market is really strong or really hot, like today is definitely a good day for the pullback buy entry, I think. It really depends. I think again the pattern is not the most important thing, or yeah, for you to consider, for me to consider an entry. Yeah, there are lots of other different things to consider to me, instead of only looking at the charts and the pattern itself. And also a little breakdown on the South Korean semi leader, like the memory. I think it's the memory name. Yeah, DRAM. Yeah, memory stocks. SK Hynix and Samsung. I mean they break down on the 2nd of July, and then it has a rally back into the declining 9 and 21, and then faded again. I I think this is one of the bearish sign that I noticed in the in the early Tuesday, Monday, in early last week. And actually you the US, the semi names, the semi sector as a whole is like doing something similar on Thursday. And this is also the time that I started the shorts on the semi ETF. And on Thursday I reposted my short tweets, the tweets about the shorts on Thursday at the open, I think. And hope the timing helps. And sometimes I don't really like to directly share my views or opinions on the markets, because it's I think on social media there is enough noise, and everyone is talking about their view and their opinion. I don't want it to like produce more noise on that. And do you consider option flow? I mean, I never talk about this at all, so you can tell easily that I consider that or not. What signs did you observe on Thursday that made you go short? Since Q we're still above the 9 and 21. I didn't plan to go short on Thursday. I planned it I think after I close my semi longs. So it's all about the trade feedbacks and my watch list and the individual stocks as a whole. And then like after I close my semi longs, it get a huge flush to the downside. It's not a like it's a pretty solid it's it's gapping down on for 5% and even went down for nearly 8% intraday. After the first day, the first day is also a huge red day, down 6% intraday. And we started so yeah, I think we're starting to get an increase in volatility after maybe mid June, or you may consider the early June right back here. So there are a lot of wide range candles, really wide candles. And we got maybe gap ups and then a gap down, and then another like huge candle, a undercut and reclaim, and then a breakout and then a gap down. So this type of actions generally after an uptrend is a sign of losing momentum, or maybe needs to take a break, or even maybe rolling over to the downside. So the increasing volatility and also the my trade feedbacks. I think if you can recall my some of I think maybe the mid June starting right here. Like I think most of my new trades, especially the longs are not worked. Did not worked, and it's also one of the signs that I've noticed before the real pullback happens. And yeah, a lot of the names in my watch list are getting weaker and weaker. So you can see a lot of the names, like the mediocre watch list has expanded a lot. I think the number of names doubled last week, and most of them are from the leading, like downgraded from the leading watch list. And a lot of the names in the leading watch list is pretty pretty dangerous. Like it's like a hanging rocks. It's just slightly above the 50 EMA, but it's with the volume, huge volume in on the top, and a lot of huge red candles up over the top here. Yeah, and a lot of names are actually getting really weak. Like, oh, this echo should be or in the lagout. Yeah, and AOI also mentioned this as well. This is one of the first leader that is showing weakness, and yeah, continues drifting lower. Riding the 9 EMA down is a huge sign of weakness. Yeah, it's really not. It's really uh a handful of stocks. It's not only a few names. A lot of the names are. This course is down like 30% in 2 weeks. The last time that it did, I think it's like something like that is right here, and then it formed the base for 6 months. It goes sideways for 6 months, and yeah. So I think probability wise, course it's really hard to form a new uptrend right here right now. The odds is really low, but it could be like going sideways. So I mean you don't have to go short, but it's definitely not a good time to be aggressive on the long side. You can see a lot of the names like this fix is losing the 50. I'm trying to bounce like under uh yeah, trying to bounce off the 50 EMA, and then found resistance, and then now it's going lower. this TTMI is the same, but a lot weaker. SITM something similar, and it's also it also found the top on May. Like it it topped before the whole semi sector, and then it's going sideways for 2 months. Now it's losing the 50 EMA. I mean, you can see a lot of the names is doing something similar. Also, this BE as well, like two huge red candles on the top, and it's a I really think that this after this red candle, I won't I won't be looking at the long side on BE maybe for the next few months probably, and now it's losing the 50 EMA, drifting lower. Yeah, and Corning as well. I think Corning is also one of the reasons that I kind of become um more alert and a little bit more bearish on this huge gap down and then losing the 9 EMA on the 1st of July. Yeah, I think Corning is also one of the main reasons. It's getting a little bit accelerated after this breakout. Yeah, and then it has a gap down and failed to reclaim and failed to find support. So yeah, huge volume and range expansion, and then a huge reversal after a huge rally. Not really a really good sign. Where did you learn everything about volume? Any books read on it? I no, actually uh I think most of them is just by myself. I think Kina Kina has wrote a really good tweet 2 days ago or yesterday. Is talking about the deep dives. Is he said that people try to build the deep dives with the tools that others provide with provide or like developed so there maybe the scanners, maybe the charts, or maybe the whatever tools that it helps you to do the quote unquote deep dives. But the point is about the process, like how you approach the deep dives, what you would like to look at, to study, to focus on, and what has caught your attention, what works and what doesn't. And Kina just mentioned that the process is much more important than the result. So I think volume is one of them. Because from the books that I've read, most of them are talking about like the volume dried up. Maybe like on the pullback is good, and the volume expansion, the breakout is also good. But from my study, like sometimes you have to like to judge, or like I think you have to judge it at first. You just can't simply read and then believe and or agree. Sometimes you have to. I think judging first is pretty important. Just take this QQQ rally as an example. The volume is generally lower than the previous few months, and this is one of the strongest rally in the recent years. And so if you focus on like the volume expansion or the increase in volume, like the huge volume on the breakout stage, and not trusting the low volume breakout day, then missing this rally, that would be really unfortunate. And yeah, so it's all about doing your homework, your own deep dives, your own. Oh, am I getting stopped out? What peak book you said you like it? Just a moment. I think it's this one. Peak Performance by Brett Stuberg and Steve Magnus. We are getting a pretty strong reversal of the lows intraday. So maybe we could get a bounce maybe into the 60-minute 9 EMA or even the 21 to set up for another short entry, or maybe could be like finding support and build the higher low and then setting up for the next uptrend maybe. Yeah, but like I think personally I'm still kind of skeptical on the bounce on this bounce, and I don't know. And maybe I'm too early. Maybe like in it needs to chop within the range. They both the buying and selling power need to like a battle within this range. And maybe some of the like the semi buyers like the buying on the 50 EMA or on the dips yeah, need maybe need a little bit more time to digest them out, or maybe just starting another uptrend. I don't know, but I think until the new leadership has formed, and like the maybe like Napier's can, but I don't know, even if it's like reclaim the 21, or I think I don't know, I'm just not trusting this bounce at all. A little bit too biased, but yeah, I think I would rather miss the potential rally on this one than like being aggressive on the right now. It's a good book, the one you just mentioned. Yes, it is, but it is not trading related. I mean, it's not like yeah, it's not directly talking about trading, but it really helps. It helps my trading quite a bit. It talks quite a lot on like how to the importance of taking rest, and how to take rest, and also like the importance of setting goals, setting setting your aims, like what you aim to achieve, and talk a lot. He uses the book uses a lot of examples on the maybe this the professional athletes, some artists or photographers, but I found a lot of similarities between those those professions and trading. And he also talks about the meaning as well. You have to find a meaning on your profession, or on your dreams. And yeah, I I really agree with that. Is there any reason why you use Corning to um why Corning instead of other market leader? Is a good question. And the main reason is definitely, I think, it's the strength that it gets after this breakout. After on 18th of June, I think this rally after 18th of June I think it's one of the strongest, like the strongest within the leaders. Yeah, SNDK 18th of June is right here, and then it is going sideways. Corning is much stronger, and also the context is the market is kind of extended. We have a huge rally on the semi sector as a whole and on the Nasdaq as a whole. And this type of the like a breakout and the acceleration into the upside is kind of dangerous. At the same time, it could be really explosive. Like it can go up really quick. I think it is definitely a pretty decent rally, like nearly a 50% move in just 2 weeks. But at the same time, it could also be really dangerous because like the faster it goes up, the higher the probability it finds the top. It's getting parabolic, and especially after this, how much is that? Like a 500% move, and more than a year rally. If this last the last rally, or maybe I forgot what's the name of like this type of the last part of the rally in stage two, blow off tops, something like that. I think like uh yeah, I think the faster it went higher, the more dangerous it becomes, and it is the like yeah the peer is going sideways and Corning is going higher. So when Corning is breaking lower, is reversing down, it could means like the other peers could face this a similar selling pressure, and marks the end of the whole group, the whole sector. I'm looking for a short on the Qs. Um, Not a really good entry on the 60-minute. Little bit extended from the EMAs, but I think the daily looks fine, and the SPY and the Russell is getting a little bit weaker. Both looks like it. The market is pushing higher, and maybe I can wait a little bit more. I expect it could be like getting rejected by the 9 EMA, but it doesn't. So maybe yeah, let's see. 5-minute 21 EMA or that the 15-minute 9 EMA. But the SPY is at the 9 EMA on the 5-minute chart. IWM is the same. I'm going to take a shot. I think that the stop is really tight. Even I got stopped out. Yeah, I think it's very fine. You think the SPY looks strong? The IWM reclaiming the 21. Yeah, definitely. The SPY is much stronger than the Qs, and I don't know, but I just really like this gap down below the 9 and 21. Like with the declining worsening market breadth and the loss of momentum on the market leader, the leading sector. Yeah, I just couldn't resist it. I think it could be like it definitely can go sideways, and maybe even like try to break out, trying to setting up for like or consolidating below this the previous highs. And but I think right now is a pretty good day to take the shorts, to do the shorts. Uh, so if it fails, then I'm probably gonna sit back a little bit, and expect it to be a chop fest um on this space, within this space. Yeah, I would try not to get hammered from both like the longs and the short side on December last year. Like yeah, in December last year, that is that's very brutal, and I hopefully not tripping the same stone twice. And I believe if the market can reclaim the EMAs right here, I will probably like I'm going to sit out. I think I'm not going to hop on the long side immediately. I have to flip longs and shorts. It's really dangerous, and yeah, SpaceX is losing the low of the IPO day, and the whole space sector is pretty weak. Rocket Lab that I didn't. I missed this again on Monday. Would be a really good, like it is a really pretty standard pullback shot into the clustered EMAs, and probably inconfigure from this day. And the whole, like the relative weakness on the space sector as a whole, or the weekly 9 EMAs also. Yeah, it's definitely a good shot back there. But SpaceX is a really good like storytelling stock. I believe it's going to like it definitely going to revisit the highs, or even like took out the highs, the IPO highs a few weeks ago in the coming future. It would be a, I think, a one of the best, maybe the legendary uptrend written in the books in the future, I believe. So I think the lower it goes, the better the uptrend will be. Right? The more the upside, the room for upside. Looks like we're getting stopped out, and now we are heading into the 9 EMA on the 15-minute chart. Not sure whether I would take this one. Maybe, yeah, I think this would be the last attempt that went for today. But the SQQQ long is only like 0.15% of my equity, so it's really a paper cut. Here the stop is really tight. Hopefully I can nail the entry on if the Q is rolling over to the downside. From the outside, seems you never really feel bad about trading. When's the last time you felt sad about trading? I really can't recall it. Moments that feel sad. I mean, maybe the back in 2024, the summer of 2024, that I got a 30% drawdown, I believe, and at the same time, it's also at the intersection of my career choice, the choices that whether I should. I mean, I was doing the summer intern back then. Just a moment. Yeah, I was doing summer. I was a summer intern back then, and consider whether I should like focus more on focus on the trading, or I should focus on the full time job. And because this summer internship is pretty stressful, because I can't manage the workload on both my job and trading at the same time, and I felt like I have to sacrifice one of them. And apart from that, my trading skills is like compared to now is definitely not that not that good, and I don't have the enough confidence to convince myself that I should like go for the full-time trading path. And yeah, and the drawdown happens exactly at that moment. And yeah, it's probably one of the moments or the periods that I'm really feeling down. But definitely sometimes when I like screw up my trades, like maybe I missed an really obvious entry, or like selling my winners, like panic selling my positions when they are pulling back. Sometimes I was still like a little bit. I'm not like really sad, but a little bit mad on myself. But generally, it's only like a really it lives really short. Like the emotions fades away quite quickly, and I know I just need to like focus on the next one instead of keep looking back at the past mistakes. I'm still in light. I haven't got stopped out just yet. Palantir is pretty strong today. Unfortunately, that the stocks that I picked is not working. It's not working that well. But NetBS is also at the 60-minute 9 EMA. Oh no, I got stopped out from light at a pretty poor timing. Yeah, I'm just not speaking anything. Just patiently waiting for the reversal. I think I'll probably call the day here and really appreciate all of you staying this long. Yeah, I mean watching it watching a guy just clicking a mouse and his keyboard for 30 minutes is it's not an interesting thing to do. And yeah, I hope you can take something from the stream and sometimes I mean silence speaks louder than words sometimes. I mean it's not easy. Yeah, not many of you guys can tune in and focused on the charts or in the market for this long, especially in this type of market, choppy and after such a crazy rally. I think most of you, most of the traders out there is we're gonna have a tough time, and some of them are will will give up, will maybe lose the passion on trading, maybe just find it too difficult. Yeah, I think like since the like early 2021 till the mid 2022, I was also doing something similar, just struggling and not getting much progress. But yeah, if you still if you really love trading, if you have still wanted to try it out, if you can get a little bit of fun in trading, yeah, hopefully you can achieve what you will the level that you want. It takes time, and I wish you all the best. So thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you in the next one.